Hey folks, it's your man Manny, and I'm here with Percy. Percy is an Australian Shepherd. We just had someone come over. They were doing an estimate on some work here on the property. And I thought, wouldn't this be a great time to see how Percy's doing after staying with us for some time and working with him on his reactivity to new things. We've seen him be reactive to dogs. We've seen him occasionally be reactive to people. What have we done, or what would we suggest to be done for this particular dog to help him succeed in the future and get over his reactivity? Well, I'm going to let you know right now what I just did with him. The first thing I did, which is very important, is I had my food pouch here filled with his food. You're going to ask yourself, Eric, why did you have his food in there? Why was it not the case that you had kibble high-value treats, actually? Well, the reason is because I want him to really be excited about food. Because even when our friend comes here and closes the gate, I want him to know his main job right now is to figure out, hey man, how am I going to get more food? I got my breakfast in there. I got to get that food. So when I have a dog that is really obsessive for kibble, or whatever food they eat regularly, it's going to be much easier for me to tell them, hey, pay attention to me, even though there's a distraction happening. Good job, buddy. Good boy. Good boy. Now, some of you are going to ask, Eric, did you just give him food, or did you have this person give him food? In this case, I didn't have the person give him food. I only had the food given from my hand, and I also tossed the food on the ground for Percy to eat. Now, that's another thing that I want to mention. How did I present the food to this particular dog? To make the food more enticing, I pulled the food away and I tossed the food as a reward, so he had the opportunity to chase something. Let me show you what I mean here. Sit. Break. By tossing food like that, a dog like Percy is going to find a lot more fulfillment in his obedience. And when I use a training tool like the Halti, a slip lead, a prong collar, remote collar, and then I reward the dog, let's go, with the opportunity to chase food, a lot of dogs, they're going to be a lot more enthusiastic about doing what I ask them to do. Good job, buddy. Now, I didn't have the guy give Percy food. I really only gave Percy the food. And that's because I wanted Percy to just primarily focus on me, focus on the handler, and realize, hey, there are some people like this guy who are going to come and they're going to go, and you don't really need to meet them or, engage with them socially because they're just here to work, and we are friendly with them, but they're not family. Okay. If this were someone where we really had the time to meet them, that would be different. And then we would have a protocol on how are we going to meet and introduce him to new people. But it's important that a dog like this, I'm not overwhelming by expecting that he's going to meet every person, especially people who are just coming by for a short period of time. Maybe they don't have the time to do what's necessary for us to have a successful greeting. Why is he on a leash, you might ask? Well, that's an important question, folks. Oftentimes, a lot of these reactivity cases in the house, they get away from us because the dog's not on a leash. And although we can use a remote collar or our voice or our body language to communicate to the dog, hey, you need to stop doing that, sometimes the leash makes it more clear for the dog that it's not even possible to do that behavior. So in this case, we're using the Sidekick from Heather's Heroes, and he did great with this tool. Another option would be to have the dog, in a placemat or a place command with a tie back. You can see here, there is a tie back to this oak tree that I could tie a dog to. And I would tie it to a harness or a flat collar. And I could have somebody come over and my dog would be safely restrained where they're not going to have the opportunity to lunge at someone. Come on, buddy. If they're tied back to a tree or to a part of our house, it also gives us the opportunity to go up and meet someone as they enter and to greet them. And our dog can then see, oh, this person's safe. And, we don't have to be looking back at the dog wondering, hey, are they going to come charging over here? No, we understand. They're not going to come charging over here. What's up, Pumpkin? Now, someone might ask, Eric, has this dog been trained with a remote collar? And why does he not have the remote collar on? Well, and I would tell you that he has been trained with a remote collar, but this is a dog, like many dogs, where perhaps there's been a little bit of confusion in the way the remote collar has been presented, or maybe, we noticed at some point the dog was not responding as we suggested. And so a lot of times when that's the case, I like to go back and just focus on the basic stuff, like the leash, greeting protocol, structure in the household, perhaps try a different training collar or a different training lead. And although I might still use the remote collar, I just like to, really check in that everything on a foundational level is really making sense. Even things like how motivated is the dog for food. I find if I do that and then I go back to the remote collar again, oftentimes there's a lot better results. Sit. Good boy. One last thing I want to talk about is the relationship I've had with this dog over the last few weeks. It's interesting because he's a really sweet dog. I mean, I had him in my bed last night with my other two dogs and my girlfriend. It was just it was great. He was in there. It was great. Hey, no. But it's interesting when you spend time with him, there's times where you tell him to stop doing stuff and he won't do it. He won't stop. And it could be something innocent like him just wanting to take off the sidekick, which I understand. I don't really want to wear my shoes right now, but I got to wear my shoes. They keep my feet safe. Sometimes it's something like that. Maybe him fussing or a little bit or digging in the crate. But other times it'll be him jumping on me, or it'll be him just really excited running around, like kind of making, almost anxious breathing sounds. And I'll tell him, hey, stop, just stop, calm down. He won't stop. He won't calm down. And so when I see a dog that's behaving in that way around me, that's a dog where I want to be very strategic in how I give affection and attention. And I really want to give attention, affection, and, really most rewards for the dog being calm. So that means when I open a door for the dog, or I pet the dog, or, I get them ready for their walk, I really want them being calm in general. Because, there's just so many benefits to having a dog that associates being calm around us and having that as their default setting in the household, and, even in the backyard. So the last thing I'll say is, I would structure the play with this dog very heavily. I would have him have an outlet for all this explosiveness, have him have an outlet to bite things and chase things, and have a good relationship where you can get him excited, you can get him really animated, but do it in a way where you're using the leash and the training tools and a toy, or, even having him off leash, like on the hiking trails, and you're doing it in a way that's creating a good association between training and all the training tools, ideally in a way where you can bring that positive association into the home later on. But, oftentimes if we don't have a link between the dog playing with toys and engaging, in chasing things for obedience, we may not have a way to communicate with the dog when they are chasing things or they are anticipating chasing things. If we could practice having them chase things in the context of obedience, we'll find we have practiced communicating with them while they are trying to chase things. And then when they try to chase things they're not supposed to chase, we'll just have so much more clear communication. Good job, buddy. And, speaking of which, what I would do is have the toys and everything put away in the household too, so that we could be clear, hey, you have to be really calm. And even if you see a toy, that doesn't mean get super excited. You have to wait for certain cues from mom or dad that mean it's the time to get excited. Good job, buddy. So, hope you enjoyed this video with Percy the Aussie. I know I've been really proud of him and how he's done. No. I do acknowledge that this is one of the, things that people see with the sidekick or the Halti that causes them to not continue to use the Halti. And, if that's your decision, I understand that. I do think using a Halti and continuing to work a dog through the pressure of wearing it, it can actually be a good exercise in building trust. It can actually be a good exercise in helping the dog build up confidence and understand, hey, sometimes we just need to learn how to accept things and, instead of panicking, or freaking out when we encounter difficulty, it would be better if we relaxed, if we settled, if we look to our handler and saw, is there any way they can help me out of this situation? And if they're saying, hey, no, I'm not able to help you out, this is something we have to accept, how can I accept that? Good job, buddy. So that's all, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, as always, we don't blame them, we train them. And of course, you can always find me online, followtheleadercanine.com. And if you like this video, like and subscribe it. Okay, take care.